Hi. Oops. Hang on. Let's get the microphone closer. Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara and welcome to another video. It's day 22 of Vlogmas. Almost there. I was just thinking, what am I going to talk about today? And then someone wrote me a reply to one of my comments on a video called, "Is it okay to end a relationship over the phone?" And the comment was, "Please make a video about how to quickly identify toxic people rather than get into relationships with them." Well, sometimes it can be very difficult to spot a toxic person. Sometimes usually you get to know someone and then a relationship happens after. Normally, it might happen quicker or sooner or slower compared to, or depending on who you are and the circumstances. And sometimes people can be very nice in that first getting to know you phase, and then the toxicity might emerge later on. But anyway, I was looking back at my own experiences. Oh my God. And I have identified some relationship red flags. And these are things that obviously in hindsight I could see, but in the moment when I lived these things, I was kind of like already in love, and I'd invested a lot of emotional energy in that person. So it wasn't so easy just to say, no, this is not good. But maybe I'll do some things differently now. Obviously, I'm older and wiser. But anyway, these are some things that I have experienced personally. And if you have anything to add, please leave a comment below. Anyway, I've made a list I can hardly read. And the first one was frequent arguments and bickering and drama. That's something I put up with when I was, in my first relationships. Lots and lots of just arguing over nothing, and something little would become this big argument. Then you forget why you're arguing. And then on the kind of, I don't know, good or bad side of that, those passionate arguments fueled really good sex. So that made it all very addictive and very, very toxic. And sometimes during these arguments, there could be, insults and just drama in general. And now I think people in your life sometimes can reflect who you are. I'm not saying that you deserved toxicity, but for me in my own personal journey, I think I wasn't in peace. I didn't have like inner peace. Whereas now I'm a much more peaceful person, and I'm kind of like more likely to attract other people who are not going to be bringing their drama into my life. So yeah, that's the first thing, just arguing. The second thing is jealousy. That's something I had to endure a lot in my younger days, and it's something that if I see any kind of comment or look or anything that's related to jealousy, that is a massive red flag for me, because it just fuels a lot of other things such as arguments, paranoia, being accused of being unfaithful when you're not, and also having to justify your time and who you're with. And yeah, jealousy is a kind of like, it's an insecurity, and also it just shows a lot of mistrust, and that's something that I think is very, very toxic. I remember I was having a long distance relationship when I was a student. I was in Paris, and my jealous ex-boyfriend was in London, and he used to phone me drunk at 3 a.m. in the morning and ask me who I was with at that time, and I was like, not with anyone. And you get sick of just saying, no, I'm not doing anything, blah blah blah. Or even someone who's looking at what you're wearing in a dress, or who are you talking to, or you're flirting with that guy, blah blah blah. So all this type of jealousy stuff is a massive red flag for me. Yeah, so jealousy, paranoia and possessiveness, all those go together. Another thing would be someone who's trying to control you in some way. For example, control how you spend your time, who you spend your time with, what you wear, what you do, anything like that is a massive red flag. And also how you spend your money. So anyone who's trying to control you somehow, that has to be like, no. I mean, some people might have this natural desire to be taken care of, but there is a fine line between being taken care of and being controlled. And that for me is one of the reasons why I really think it's important to have financial independence in a relationship, because at the end of the day, many relationships stay together because of financial dependence. And I read a statistic which was very scary in the UK, that 59% of married women would divorce if they could afford it. And that's an incredibly scary reality. So I think and also some of those relationships might not seem controlling, but they are, because there's this big domineering factor of money and making you dependent on that person. So that for me is a massive red flag. I think it's really important to be independent in your life and choose your relationship and desire it, and not feel that it's an obligation. So yeah, that's another one. Another thing would be someone who doesn't like your friends or your family, and they're always criticizing them, and that's a massive red flag for me. I remember I had a boyfriend who didn't like my best friend, and I think he didn't like her influence on me, which is another red flag. And just seeing you enjoy yourself with your friends, and yeah, that's a big red flag. I think it's always can be hard sometimes to mix, your partner with your friends, and then you with their friends. It can be quite a tense situation, and sometimes people are not completely themselves in those situations either. It's difficult to relax, but in an ideal world, everyone will get on together, and especially if they are people who love you, they'll make an effort. Yeah, so that's a big red flag. Someone doesn't like your friends or your family. And also another big red flag is that if you have to be honest with yourself about this one, is that you're not yourself when you're with that person. You're always kind of on edge, thinking about what you're going to say, what you're going to do. And especially if there are other people around who know you, they might notice that you change when you're with your partner. So if you're not feeling like you're completely yourself, that's a big red flag. And I think the most beautiful thing in a relationship is when you can be completely yourself and not have to just be on kind of like showing a front all the time, and you can relax, wear no makeup like me now, and just be relaxed and show your true self. Obviously, I'm not saying be a slob and not make an effort, but I think it's important to be relaxed and be able to show all sides of yourself with someone, and not feel as though you're constantly acting or wearing a mask, the kind of mask I mean, but not the COVID masks. Anyway, so that's something that's very, very important. Because I found sometimes that I didn't show my crazy fun side sometimes to my partners when I was younger. Whereas I think creating a kind of cocoon of intimacy and creating your own humor in a relationship is such a fun thing as well. That's a little sidetrack there. Another thing which is I've lived in the past is when someone doesn't invite you to their house or in their world in general. Well, that might be before getting into a relationship. This happened to me a few times, not a few times, a couple of times, when every time I've met someone, it's always been at my place or in public, but never at their place. And it makes you kind of wonder, why not? What's going on? And in those situations, what was going on was that they were married and they never told me. So that's a huge red flag. But that would be maybe before getting into a relationship. Yeah, so not inviting you to their house. Another thing would be not introducing you to their friends and family. If you're serious about someone, then you would like to share them with your friends and family, and introduce them and have them as part of your life. But if someone doesn't want to do that, then that's a really, really big red flag. I would interpret it as meaning that they're not that serious about you or the relationship. Yeah, so red flag there. Another thing would be ogling other women in front of you. That's something I've had to deal with in the past, and I found that incredibly annoying and disrespectful, because I wouldn't do that if I was with a partner. I want to make them feel as though they're the most beautiful person in the world and the most desirable person for me anyway. And if someone's constantly, looking at maybe magazines or people on the TV and going, wow, she's hot, or it's okay to kind of appreciate beauty in other people. I mean, we are human, and but when it becomes to a point where they're looking more at the other person than you, that can be a little bit, and especially in the street when so many couples do that, they're walking down the street with their partner and they're like, it's okay to kind of acknowledge beauty, but I think you have to think about, how is that going to make my partner feel? Maybe your partner is into it as well and wants to admire eye candy in the street, but maybe a lot of people can feel uncomfortable with that. So I think that's something that can be a red flag. And if you are suffering because of that, you have to say that it makes you feel uncomfortable, and to kind of just control it a little bit. Another thing would be, a massive red flag is body shaming. I've had to deal with this in a few of my relationships when I was younger, and I just couldn't believe it when it happened to me. I have spoken about this in my most recent podcast episode, which is all about body positivity. And I remember being with my very first boyfriend, the first person who'd see me completely naked, so it was a massive, a big deal for me. And I was sitting in the bath, just washing my hair, and he said, you know, you could do with some breast implants and some liposuction on your belly. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it, because for me, this guy, even though he wasn't a model type, he was the most beautiful man in the world, and I absolutely adored him. And the next times that we had sex, I was wearing a t-shirt because I felt really uncomfortable being naked in front of him. And then the next boyfriend I had was a bit of a body shamer as well. And because I gained weight when I lived in Paris. This is the jealous guy from earlier on, so big red flags. And he was telling me not to put too much butter on my bread because I would put weight on. I have put weight on, and I just thought, this bread is just too good to, you know, to kind of limit myself. I just wanted to enjoy the French cuisine. That was before I was vegan, but I just thought it was very rude, and it made me feel very uncomfortable because I wouldn't dream of body shaming someone. And then I had another boyfriend who was just an asshole as well. This is a few years later, and I mean, I've always had like quite a bloated belly, sometimes bloated, sometimes it's just from my Irish, how do you say it? Antepasados. How do you say that in English? You know, my people from my family in the past. How do you say antepasados? Oh my God, I can't even. Let me look it up quickly. Antepasados in English. Sorry for a little. This happens to me sometimes. Oh, ancestors. Okay, from my Irish ancestors who probably ate lots of potatoes and drank beer. So I do have this belly. And sometimes it was bloating as well, and constipation. And so there were lots of things going on with my belly in the past. And then one of my ex-boyfriends used to kind of point at my belly and say, when is it due? And I was just so insulted. And I told him how much it annoyed me, but he still kept doing it. And the thing which was really annoying about it is that his belly was like 3 times bigger than mine. So it just goes to show that I think women have all this pressure to be perfect, whereas men don't have that same pressure, although it is changing. But I did feel really bad, and I have been with better people since then, and who haven't cared if I've been hairy, smooth, unshowered, showered, or fat, thin, or whatever, and who make you feel beautiful, whatever. And that's the kind of person you really should be with. So the kind of person who will just say to you, oh, you've put a bit of weight on, but they'll still be like, they'll bite your belly, and they'll just like want to go down on you, and they're just like still expressing that desire for you and complimenting you and all that. So that's something that I have lived as well, and that's a million times better, I'm telling you. And then last but not least, another red flag is maybe that you could maybe identify this very soon, before it gets serious, could be how they treat others. For example, the kind of person who is rude to waiting staff, or rude to people in shops, or the kind of person who hates their ex, and or hates all of their exes. You know, that kind of thing is another red flag for me. Yeah, so how they treat others, because obviously how they treat others can be related to how they're going to treat you as well. Yeah, so there are a lot of relationship red flags, and nothing is perfect, and sometimes you have to just express that something has bothered you and why, and then hopefully you can iron out those wrinkles and have plain sailing. But also some arguments and some conflict can be very good for a relationship, because those moments also can help you really communicate what's not working, and you can hopefully overcome it if the relationship is worth it. Anyway, I would love to hear about your relationship red flags, and what do you think is, or what do you think are the signs of a toxic relationship or toxic person? Please leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video. And please, if you have any ideas for videos, let me know, because I'm really on a roll right now. And also check out my second channel, The Orgasmic Lifestyle, because there I've been doing Vlogmas as well, and I've been sharing more content about cooking, high protein vegan and very healthy recipes, very simple, and also some organic beauty tips, and also you'll see the videos of my interviews with my incredible podcast guests. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon. And write to me at venus@venussahara.org if you have more ideas for videos. Take care, adios.